Hi, this is Satyendra Pega trainer. I'm planning to do some real-time application development sessions, so which would help you to crack the real-time scenario-based interview questions, and also it would help you to work on the real-time applications without any external help or support. Okay, so initially, I'm starting with leave request application development. Then later, I'm going to do some full-fledged real-time application development. That would really help you to crack the interviews and also to work on the real-time projects. Okay, so uh, today, so we are going to discuss the requirement of the leave request application and will create an application in the Pega. Okay, so let's take any organization and assume that that organization doesn't have any application to manage the employee leave requests. Okay, so in that case, let's say employee want to apply for a leave, so they need to fill some application form and they need to scan it and send to the their managers, or they need to drop that application form somewhere in the Dropbox, and somebody has to pick that and to approve or reject that particular leave, right? Or simply, so we need to send an email to the managers, and so they will reply via email, so whether the leave is approved or rejected. So this is a kind of complete manual process, and so we see the various issues during this process, right? So and also like so we need to maintain some documents like with all the employees and their leaves, and once employee utilize the leaves, so we need to deduct those corresponding leaves from the documents, right? So in order to overcome these issues, right? So we need an application. Okay. So let's say if you look at the issues, this is the current process. Okay, and so these are the current issues of that organization, right? So it would be hard to track the overall leave request approval process, and it would be difficult to manage the documents. Let's say employee is planning to take some medical leave, so they need to provide the document, and it would be difficult to manage them, right? And there will not be any the validations or business logic can be implemented as part of this manual process. Okay, so here we are going to implement an application for that organization, so which doesn't have any application to handle the leave request process. Okay, so we are going to build an application to automate the leave process and to reduce the human errors. Okay, so let's say whenever so this is the requirement basically. So whenever employee log in into the application, so they will have an option to create a leave request. And so when employee create a leave request, so one case ID or work object ID will be created, and in the first screen, so the employee will be able to see all his or leave request sorry, employee information. And so you can verify that information. So if some of the information is not correct, so we can contact the administrator. And so yeah, so once we submit this screen one, so called employee information, and so in the second screen, so we have to show the list of the leave details of that particular employee. For example, I am the employee, so I have some medical leaves, I have some personal leaves, and some can be like, some optional leaves like that. So we need to show all of those leaves and also, total number of leaves available for that particular employee. Clear? So here we'll be having some validations also. First, we will discuss the high level requirement. Post that, so we will discuss the in detail requirements. Okay. So in the second screen, right? So basically, so employee will have an option to select from and to date, uh, right? Like, so once user select, the employee select the from and to date, so we need to display, the number of applied leaves. And once users submit the second screen, it will be routed to the managers. So, and if manager, so once it is routed to the manager, so the manager can approve or reject, and sometimes they can send back to the initiator. So here, initiator is nothing but an employee. Okay. So let's say some of the documents are not proper, or the employee didn't fill the information properly, right? So in that case, manager can send back to the employee, and employee can verify that and resubmit that request. Okay. So if manager approves it, based on certain scenarios, we will decide whether it has to be routed to the HR managers. Okay, so let's say, so female employee is applying for a leave, and it is the type of leave is maternity leave, right? So in that case, it has to go to the HR manager as well. Okay, so once HR manager is approved, then the corresponding leaves will be deducted from employee leave table, right? So from the uh, table, so where we maintain all the employee leave information. Okay, so let's say I applied for 2 days and it has been approved. So the two leaves should be deducted from my leave balance from that leave request or leave details table. Okay, so if manager or HR manager rejects the leave request, so we need to notify to the employee stating that the leave request has been approved. So even if it is rejected or sent back to the employee, so we will notify with that particular status. Okay. So if it is approved along with the notification, so we also should subtract the leaves from the employee leaves table. Okay. So that is, the overall the requirement. And so where we have to define all the employee tables, like we have to create employee data type with all the data. And so we need to show the project details of that employee also. So we will have to create project details data type, and also the leave details data type. Okay, so we will feed the data for all these data types. And one project can have only one supervisor, but can have multiple employees. Let's say there are 10 employees, and out of 5 can be mapped to one project. Let's say another 5 employees are mapped to the different project. So that means a single project can have the multiple employees. Okay. So, and one employee can have only one project at a time. So let's say if I am the employee, so I belongs to only one project. I cannot work on multiple projects. Okay, officially, right? And one supervisor can have multiple projects at a time, right? So let's say there is a supervisor, and that supervisor can handle the multiple projects, right? So let's say my supervisor can be same as your supervisor also. Okay. So these are the various, the data types uh, we create in the Pega with the data. So that we will see like once we create an application. Okay. And so this is the database structure. So, so employee and project related table relation is one to many. So one project can have multiple employees, and so employee to leave. So it's one to one relation. So we'll have the leave details table. So where we maintain all the employee IDs with the corresponding leaves. Okay. So this is the main employee table. So where we store the various fields. Okay. Where we create the various fields and we provide the data. Okay, so mainly we focus, automating the leave request application and also the validations. And so in the each scene, so we'll be having some kind of validation. So if user violates that, so we have to display an error message to the user. Okay. And so along with this, like, so we'll be implementing some service level agreements. Let's say if manager doesn't approve a leave in one day, so we need to escalate it to their supervisors. Okay. And so we'll be working on, some background crossing rules to update, so to add some leaves to the employees every month. So So let's say there are 1,000 employees, so we need to add two personal leaves at the end of the month, right? So in that case, like, so we will run nightly jobs, so that will take care of adding the leaves to all the employees of an organization. Okay. So, and during the application development, so we will think of, a few more additional scenarios, and we will incorporate in the application. Okay. So this is, high level requirement, and so we will implement the same in the Pega. And during the application development, so we will also try to implement some additional functionalities using various rule types. Okay. Now let's create a leave request application in Pega. Okay. So once you log in, once you see this login screen, so you have to enter the default credentials to create an application, right? So this is administrator@pega.com. This is operate ready, and the password is installed, as you know. So this is the Dev Studio, and this is the application toolbar, right? So here we have an option to create new application. So click on new application. So we are going to create it as implementation application. So we don't need to use any framework here. So let's use the custom option. So we are going to build an application from scratch. Okay. And click on use this application type. So then you will see the application form. So where you have to enter the organization name and application name. Okay. So here, so organization, I'm going to use as HCL, and the application name is ELR app, leave request app. So you can put any other name like leave request or leave app, something like that. And so click on advanced configuration and change the organization name as HCL. So by default, you see some random ID, right? So you change it. And so this would be our class group name. So HCL lr app work. Okay, so and this would be abstract classes, and the class group is concrete class, right? So now click on save and click on create application. So when we click on create application, internally it will create various rule types. So it will create access group, access roles. It creates mainly application rule and various application rule sets. Okay. So now let's wait for a few seconds. Okay. So now we got on this screen, right? Like so, LR has been configured and it can be used. Okay. So we need an operator ID to log in into the application. So we need administrator's operator ID. So along with the administrators, so we have various other roles also created, like manager, user, and author. So mainly, so we use admin, manager, and user roles in the real-time applications. And we have a author, like so where author can design the case types for demoing purpose mainly, right? So let it be the default option and create operator ID. Okay, so I'm going to create an initial operator ID that is called admin@HCL. And once we log in into our application, so we can create various other operator IDs. Okay, so now let's click on add, and here you see the password, right? So take this password, log off, and log in with operator ID, newly created operator ID, and password, enter the one which we copied. And since we are logging into the application for the first time, so it will ask us to change the password. So let's enter the current password, just paste it, and new password, let's say rules. So we usually put this password, right? Rules, RULES. So click on change password. Okay. So by default, you see the admin studio because as you know, the access group, the operator access group. So you see, portal is defaulted to the admin studio. So we can default it to the developer also. Okay. So now let's switch back to the dev studio. And so in the dev studio, so we implement an application, right? Like so we create the various rule types in order to implement an application. So this is application explorer. So where we see app explorer, like so we can see the classes and data types, so where we use to create various data types for storing the data, and the case types, you know like so we can create the various case types using this option. Like since we are working on leave request application, so we will be creating a case type called leave request, so which represents the complete leave request process. Okay, so in the next session, right, like so we'll be creating the case type and the various data types, and then we will implement the screen one as part of our application.